trust your mom sense and your dad sense. I think, it's that inner voice that we all have. So trust that as you're raising your kids, as you're going up the ranks in your career, as you're making memories in your lifetime, just trust that mom sense of yours.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Amory.
This is Leaning Into Being, the show that allows you to be your all so you can give your all.
Brought to you by Hello Mamas and Hey Mama.
Erica, we have a really special guest today. We're going to have our dear friend, Kanika Chadda-Gupta on. Kanika is a journalist. She's also the host of That's Total Mom Sense podcast. She is a speaker and an MC and just an incredible human being.
I'm so excited, Amory. We love Kanika. And what I'm most excited to hear about from Kanika today is her motherhood journey, her career balance. Clearly, she's had some pivoting, her podcast, and how she defines success. We're so excited. When we were thinking about who our first guest was going to be, the first person that came to Amory in my mind was Kanika.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I'm so touched. I am an OG Hey Mama and a huge supporter of the two of you. And I feel so at home. It's like, when you found your people. And you guys are my people.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And you've been so supportive of us in this journey to start the podcast. You have definitely handheld me and given so much advice. And so we feel like we've just come full circle being here with you.
Yes, it's happening.
High five.
It's happening. High five.
High
It is happening. Take this in.
Take deep breaths, taking it all in. And we're so thrilled to be able to share your story because it is really an incredible, beautiful one. And I'm sure that there are lots of messy moments within that.
Yep.
Just thinking about you having a career and kids and juggling it all. What was it like for you?
Yes. So I would say I've always been this nurturing, mothering type, mother hen, if you will. And I always knew I wanted to be a mom and have a family. And I think this is because my younger sister is 7 years younger, and I feel like I manifested her. My parents were very happy with an only child, and my mom was 42 when she had her, and I was like, I need to have a sister, guys. Please, this is getting hard. And so she came along, and I immediately jumped into this, mother role where I knew how to take a bottle and test it on my wrist and feed her or change diapers. That was the whole thing. So shortly after Sunil and I got married, I was so gung-ho about we need to have kids. And that took 4 years. And it was really rough. I think the first messy moment and challenge I was faced with was my ectopic pregnancy. I did not see that coming. I, had some chemical pregnancies or miscarriages along the way. And those I felt prepared for, if you will, because it happens to all of us. They're so common. But then the ectopic threw me for a loop, and I actually diagnosed myself with the help of my friend, Juhi. If you're listening, she's an OB. And I told her my symptoms in the middle of the night. I was like, I have this shooting pain in my left shoulder and, newly pregnant at the time, something just feels off. And she said, tell me your HCG levels. They were categorically low. She said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I have a feeling you're having an ectopic pregnancy. And I was like, what is that? And that's when the fetus is growing in one of your fallopian tubes and it's not viable. It can't progress along. So she said, you have to get that checked out right away because, one of your tubes could rupture and it's fatal. And so I went in for my routine blood work, and the nurse was like, you were way too soon for an ultrasound. You don't need one. And I said, but I have, this pain in my left shoulder. It could be an ectopic. And that's because the uterine lining is bleeding because the fetus isn't in the uterus. And you feel referral pains in your shoulder, much like when you're having a heart attack. And she was brushing it off, it's probably muscle spasms. You must be working out too much. And I literally like ran down the hall, found the doctor and was like, I need this ultrasound now. And same thing, she was like poo-pooing and finally was like, fine, we'll do it. And lo and behold, she did the sonogram and my uterus was empty. And
Oh my gosh.
I just, at that moment though, I realized we have this built-in sixth sense. We have this intuition. And that was my mom's sense. It was before I even had kids. I was like, it's just, you know, it happens for all humans. We have this inner voice and knowing. But I trusted that and was like, I'm not going to leave this clinic till I know what's up. So yeah, I feel like it was Juhi and my intuition that saved my life. And then after that, another fun story, but I really do believe in manifesting. So I had this vision board of a pink booty and a blue booty in the middle. And then, you know, I had like a sedan and a house and like random stuff, places I wanted to travel. And then lo and behold, a year after that ectopic, I got pregnant with twins, and it was one boy and one girl. And so I look back at that vision board and I'm like, wow, I made that, I don't know, 4 years before that. And It just came to life. And then 18 months later, I had my third. So when my twins were 9 months old, I got pregnant with my third, which was like expletive moment.
Yeah.
I was like, wait. But then, yeah, I mean, I feel, you know, it was what I wanted in the beginning, and I got what I signed up for.
Can we go double click into it? Like,
Yeah.
What was those early days like? What was it like to have two toddlers and a newborn
Oh my gosh.
and trying to manage your career?
Yes.
Were you still a journalist at that point?
Yeah. So at that time, I had started a digital marketing firm, and I knew, like, I was family planning for a while. So I knew I wanted to pivot from television and production to having my own business. So I did that beforehand. But like the first thing that I took when my water broke, and, you know, this was with the twins, my husband wasn't even there, I grabbed my laptop.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
No. I'm serious. And, you know, they did have some time at the NICU, and there was a lot of downtime where I was in the room alone. And I was like, I'm so glad I brought this. You know,
Yeah.
I got some calls out of the way. I was writing back to emails, and people knew I was huge, that they were like, you know, any day now. It was a few weeks out that I'd write back, and they were like, wait a minute, did you have your twins already? And I was like, oh yeah, that was like a few weeks ago. And they were like, wait a minute, what? I was like, yeah, but you were working on that logo and I needed to get it to you. So yeah, I was just head down. And I think that was for me, though. That was for my sanity. I wanted to, of course, have this family. But when you love your career, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like this chore that you have to do. So I was working throughout. And yeah, it was messy.
I mean, it sounds like natural nurturer, incredible manifester. You brought all of this together. But let's talk about the emotional side.
Oh,
like,
yes.
How did you cope with all of those feelings, the overwhelm? Like, what was that like for you?
Yes.
And how did you cope?
Yeah, I had so many breakdowns and then breakthroughs. I definitely felt like I had some level of postpartum depression. It wasn't something that was diagnosed, even though I was always seeing my OB. I was like constantly just having babies. So it was something that I was very vocal with her about. And though I didn't have to go on a medication, talk therapy is what saved me. So I got a therapist that I saw regularly. But even before that, because this was pre-COVID, before we did telehealth and, and all things like virtual. So my pediatrician actually gave me a hotline, a free hotline that was for postpartum moms. And it was like a free hotline for those who felt like they had PPD, PPA. And you could just vent. And I had this really sweet, woman who had answered the phone. Her name was Pat, and she had a British accent. And after like our first two calls, I was like, when is your shift? Because I'm just going to pencil this in.
Right.
You know, is it Wednesdays 9:30? Great. I will always call at Wednesdays 9:30 because she was a lifeline to me. And it was, you know, I would be ugly crying about like we had to go somewhere and then I had to pump and then I was really pissed at my husband and like, you know, and then this one had to blow out and like, you know, I'm fat and I feel like shit and I just, you know, I have work to do and this is like, how is this my life right now? You know, like all this stuff. And I like, God bless her for listening to all of that. But I think we all need an outlet, and that could be someone on the other end of a hotline who has time. And I didn't call so many of my mom friends because I knew they were in the thick of or in the trenches of their own motherhood journey, you know? And I just felt like, you know, I can't call them at bewitching hour. Like, they're busy. So just having counselor or who you know is going to be able to pick up the phone, like, definitely use that. And talk to your pediatrician and your OB about these things because they have resources. I had a whole printout. And then, you know, it was also like, join the La Leche League if you want to talk about breastfeeding. And so there were so many communities to be a part of. And Hey Mama was another big savior in my life. It was after I had my third that I joined. And I just felt like, oh my goodness, what was I doing all this time without these like just supporters, lifelong friends, business colleagues, moms who just get it in my life. Like you're so lost until you find that tribe.
We love that. And that's really truly what we're also building at scale with Hello Mamas is really truly creating an inclusive, supportive network for all moms. And that it's so important, gives us goosebumps to hear that.
Yeah, it's so true. The most important factor for women's happiness is really having those people around you that you can trust and you feel like you can be yourself with and knowing that you feel safe. Let's talk about your podcast. So how did you start That's Total Mom Sense? What was your inspiration for that?
Sure. So that came to me as I was nursing my third. And I remember listening to podcasts. It was always when I was pumping or nursing. Yes. I felt like I needed to be doing something. And I didn't want to hear like the whirring, the like
that dreaded noise.
I feel like that thing somehow though, it really did like create creativity somehow for so many moms. It's like, and you're like, okay, idea.
Right.
So many ideas came from that point when you're sitting
there.
there.
So true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It's and it's hormonally, it's like maybe we're just really like literally plugged in. Like we're just plugged into ourselves and what our body
it's
wants.
Like it's sucking everything out of you.
Yeah, it's literally sucking it all out.
Oh my gosh, yes. So that I would listen to podcasts, and at that time, my favorite was Mom Brain. With Daphne Oz and Hilaria Baldwin. And I was like, this is really fun. And I just thought I'd love to enter this space because coming from, you know, my experience as a journalist, I could make it a little more newsy and then have these long form interviews with my guests. And, you know, I just think back to when I was 10-year-old Kanika, I would run home from the bus to watch Oprah. It was like ritual for me. I would finish my homework, 4:00. Yes. Oprah was it. And I have a photographic memory. So like a lot of her interviews are just indelible in my mind. I'm like, I remember Tom Cruise jumping on the couch and Gwyneth Paltrow and whether it was an ex-con or, movie star, she would be able to bring out their vulnerability. And I thought I want to do that. And so I launched That's Total Mom Sense. And it just came to me. That also came to me randomly, but in the shower. It's like, Mom Sense.
The best thoughts are in the shower.
I know, it's like pumping and in the shower.
But you've had so many diverse women and guests. And can you share how you've chosen your guests and the impact and like your hope for all of those conversations that you've had?
Yes. Well, I have to give a shout out to Hey Mama again because it was through an email, actually an ISO email that I found one of my first few guests. I feel like she was my 6th or 7th guest, Rebecca Minkoff. And I was writing an email about, I was truly asking for a friend. My neighbor wanted a behavioral therapist for her son. And Rebecca wrote back. And then I was like, I have this podcast and I would love to have you on, don't want to be too forward, but I'm a big fan and I would love to have you on. She was like, absolutely. She got the assistant, on the email, and we filmed in person in the city. And things just kind of took off from there, because she could see how diligent and thorough I was as an interviewer and podcaster, and everything was really buttoned up with the show. I think the fact that I had the digital marketing firm first, which was a pivot in my career, set me up. It's like you can't connect the dots going forward. You can only connect them looking back, as Steve Jobs said. And I was like, wow, that I needed that step to be like, I had all my personal branding for this show, because that's what I did for 5 years. And then I launched it. So she could see that. And then I also asked, are there any friends you'd recommend to be on the show? And so she put me in touch with her friend Rachel Goldstein, Nikeo Kamoche Grieco, and it just snowballed from there. And then I also had a PR person I worked with, Icon PR, Heather Bessignano, if you're listening. She helped me get Chelsea Clinton on the show, which was huge. And I interviewed her for Hey Mama, the Mothers in Business Summit. So I think there's a multi-pronged approach. It's you being very kind of tasteful in asking your guests, who else in your network can you put me in touch with? But also the PR side of things. When you get a lot of press, I was in Forbes, then now people were writing to me and sending their pitches. And even some news segments, kind of drummed up some traffic to the show. And then, I think topical is also important. So if you have something that you uniquely want to share on your show, you don't have to be, too obsessed with the celebrity appeal. I feel like it has to be a mix of both. And that too, I think you have to be diligent with your outreach. Find that guest, look at that byline, find them on Instagram or LinkedIn and just message directly. You'd be surprised how many people are ever ready to talk about their lives.
That's so beautiful. And you've shared with us quite a few things that can be the definition of success with your podcast, and incredible thought leaders that you've had on and interviewed, and your agency. How has your definition of success changed as you've become a mom and, through these different stages of your journey that you've been through?
I think success to me is living with purpose and being true to myself and my intention. I want to share a quote from Oprah, our queen mother.
Love Oprah.
Love Oprah.
She said, "You will find success and happiness if you only have one goal, to fulfill the highest, truest expression of yourself." And I think that's so profound. If you are waking up every morning, raring to go, knowing that you're spending your energy and your blood, sweat, tears, soul on something that you love and you excel at and you're meant to do, like your true calling. In Hindi, we have this word dharma. Dharma is your life calling. If you are pursuing that, you will 100% inevitably, indubitably find happiness and success.
I love that. And so for our listeners and those mothers who are looking to redefine it, what would be those first few steps that they should go through? I mean, you've got this practice, you've got this experience. What would be something for our listeners to start with? How would they go finding that dharma?
Yes, vision boards help. I really have to, it's a little woo-woo, but I'm telling you, there's just an energy in them that if you have a magazine cutout or a slogan or a photo or, a place you want to visit, whatever it may be, some goal that you have in your life, if it's just sitting on your desk, it's subliminal. It's happening without you even thinking about it. So I think make a vision board, or even if you wanted to write down what your goals are. And this could be bite size. What's your goal for today? What's your goal for the week, then the quarter, then the year, then your 5 and 10-year plan? And that actually is so encompassing. It's your goal for your career, your family life, and what you want that to be, your romantic life, your community, and where you want to travel, whatever it may be. I think it's like all the little things that you want to see happen, have that written down or presented to you. William Kelvin, who's a mathematician, said, what is not measured cannot be improved. So you'll never get to this like idyllic utopia that you're hoping for until you measure your success along the way. And it's like, okay, I needed to record this podcast episode today, or you're preparing for Slam. And it's like, I have this task list. Right. Write it down, cross it off, and say that I need to, attain this many tasks in a day and complete them. Like, start small and do that. And if you kind of have a quarterly review and then a yearly review, you'll be surprised by all that you achieved. And I think we undermine ourselves so much. Like, you look back on like 2022 and it's like, what did I really do? I don't know. But then if you see that in front of you, like, wow, I did this many conferences and I had this many birthdays that I planned for the kids and, events that I did, right. You will feel so proud of yourself.
Well, and I think and Eric and I really try to take some time because things go by so quickly and you're just doing.
Yep.
Take some time every quarter to sit down and make a list of all the things that we've accomplished and all the things that we've been through, whether they're big things or little things. And like looking at that list, we're always like, wow, okay, we are blown away with the impact and all that we've done. Whereas, sometimes when you're in the day-to-day to things, like it can get overwhelming. And as you were saying, it's like you have the vision board for when you're looking forward, but it's really great to have that list when you're looking back and reflecting. When you're reflecting on, the things that you have achieved and what you've done, is there anything that you would do differently or that that you wish that you had known on your journey?
Oh, wow. I'm really trying to like give myself grace and like embrace those mistakes. And I do think that, when you stumble or when things don't work out as you want, I truly believe in my heart. It's like, there's a bigger yes coming.
Yes.
That's why.
It's
I
true.
love that. But it's so hard when you're like, you do all of those things. I love vision board, and actually a very funny story about a vision board that I created like now 10 years ago, and it really finally just started happening.
My
like
goodness, congrats.
But
I love when it
but that's
happens.
the thing where you're like the patience.
Yes.
Like we're so used to everything happening overnight, and
right.
That's part of the practice.
Yeah.
But on that, let's talk about your self-practice. We hear as mothers, like you've got to put your oxygen mask on first and, to be able to serve and do all of these things. You want the career, you want the podcast, you want all of these things.
Yeah.
What is your self-care practice?
Yes, I say something to myself every morning. I look in the mirror and say this, whether I'm brushing my teeth or like if it's later on and I'm, putting my makeup on. But I like to make eye contact, like look straight into my eyes and say, I'm a happy soul. I have a healthy body. My relationships are in harmony. My work is perfect. My life is beautiful. And it's something that I learned from, it's a group called Brahma Kumaris, and they are very attuned to spiritualism and leading with the soul. And so I was like, wow, just having something as like concise as that, it covers everything, and it's just what you want to hear as you start your day. So yeah, I think affirmations are huge, and we don't connect with ourselves enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
It's very true.
We
very true.
Make eye contact with one another and are always hugging our kids. And, it's like, I think it's so important to look at yourself and see how far you've come. If you really connect, you can go back and see almost like your 6-year-old self looking back at you. And like, she's so proud right now. She's
so proud.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And like, as moms and nurturers, we're always giving and supporting our families and our kids and those around us. And what you said is so powerful about the importance of taking time to connect with yourself, to give back to yourself, give yourself some self-compassion and some grace and love, and telling yourself that you're doing a great job. There's just so much power in that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we've heard all about your journey, your career, your motherhood story. What is next for you? What's next for the podcast? What do you have on the horizon?
Yeah, so many things. I mean, the podcast is always going to be there. I feel like that doesn't feel like work. So every week, without fail, there's an episode, and I'm over 250 episodes now.
Wow.
So
Yay.
Oh my goodness. That's
thank you.
Huge.
And yeah, it feels amazing to look back on them. I have a book in the works.
Yes.
So yes, we'll regroup when that happens. But I think it's, something that, again, is like this outpour where I want to be able to impart everything that I'm learning from these incredible people and their stories, and it's just like, I want to just memorialize it all in a book. And there's always going to be the podcast listener that just has something in their earbuds and they like the audio. But then there's our avid readers out there that want to connect in that way. So that's on the horizon. And I'm doing a lot more keynote speaking and panel moderation and emceeing because I love connecting with people in person. And so just going around the country for speaking engagements has been really fun.
Absolutely. And I know that we have loved having you as a speaker and a moderator, so I can vouch for what an incredible, authentic personality you are being in that space. And you're also the leader of our new Women in Media group, which we are very excited about. So it's like an incredible space where you can be able to support other women in media and help to connect and bring women together.
Yes. It's an honor. I'm so thrilled that you have me in this role where I can give back, and paying it forward is really, really important to me, and uplifting women, especially in my industry. We're always having to roll with the punches. It's constantly changing. I think media is most evolving. Back when we were kids, I still remember how my dad still gets the Washington Post at the door, and the paper boy just throws it onto your front porch. And, now how we've, changed and how we're consuming media now, we need all those content creators and contributors to go with that and actually provide us with the news and the stories that we consume. And so to lead on that, I get to connect with Hey Mamas who are in podcasting, of course, but who are still in print or in digital or are in filmmaking. And it's, just so wonderful and remarkable to see how talented these women are in their fields. And the fact that we can gather and help one another out so that we all shine is amazing. Next level.
It's amazing. And as I was also a woman in media, sometimes it can feel very siloed, right? Yes. And it's an industry where it is so important to have the right connections and to have a community around you.
Yes. And we're changing the narrative because I feel there's back in the day, there was a lot more girl on girl crime.
Yes, a lot. It was elbow out of the way.
No.
Yes.
That's coming full circle, I think. I really do firmly believe that that's coming now as more women rise up and as more women are climbing, they're hopefully lifting.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Kanika, it has been incredible having you on. We could go for hours, I think, and we're fortunate we get to spend another day with you.
Yes, I'm so excited to come back.
But what would one final thought be for our listeners?
Yeah, I would say trust your mom sense. And your dad sense. I think, it's that inner voice that we all have. And so many times we second guess We have imposter syndrome. We're like, no, I'm going to just do what my friend does. And it's so inauthentic. Your body won't even be able to like let you follow through. So trust that as you're raising your kids, as you're going up the ranks in your career, as you're making memories in your lifetime, just trust that mom sense of yours.
Thank you for listening to Leaning Into Being.
To get connected and join the Hello Mamas and Hey Mama community, visit hellomamas.co.
Let's connect, support, and grow together in this journey of motherhood.